I'm John Danner, welcoming you from, I think, a tiny little perch on the corner of your screen to this episode of The Resilient Entrepreneur, Building Success and Surviving Setbacks, with our sponsor, The Nick, and my co-author, Mark Coopersmith. In this episode, I'd like to go into a little bit more detail on one of the key stages in that 7-stage failure value cycle that Mark introduced you to in a previous installment. And that stage is rehearse. Your role in this stage is really that of a kind of tenacious coach, as we say it. The kind of coach that wants his team to, or her team, to practice a little bit more before they get on the field for the next game. It's in that spirit that we use the term rehearse. Now, to set the stage, as an entrepreneur, you know the odds are very much stacked against you. They are for all of us starting businesses. And sooner or later, many ventures hit the proverbial wall. They're not sure what to do, and oftentimes they collapse. But research has suggested there are a number of reasons for that if we thought about them in advance and rehearsed a little bit for the possibility of those things happening, we might be able to improve our odds of the success we really want, not the failure we don't. Failure is that wall to some extent. So why is it that ventures tend to fail? Well, they may fail because they've got just the wrong theory, the wrong strategy, the wrong idea. They haven't tested their assumptions. They were more cocky and self-assured than perhaps they should have been. They didn't listen enough to their customers. They might have had the wrong product, the wrong service. You've got a good strategy, but the strategy just doesn't match a product or a service or a solution that the market's not looking for or not ready for yet. They may be looking at the wrong target, trying to sell to the wrong customer. They're trying to sell to middle-aged women, and they ought to be selling to younger guys, perhaps. Or they ought to be selling in one area as opposed to another. They're firing at the wrong target. They might, in fact, have the wrong timing. They've got everything else right, but they're just too early or too late for the market. It's something that I talked about in one of our earlier installments in this program. The other reason is that the team itself isn't working. It's not functioning correctly. If you talk to venture capitalists around the country or around the world, as we've had a chance to, oftentimes they recognize that the business strategy, the business plan that they're being presented with is a work of fiction. What they're really looking for many, many times is to know whether the team has the wherewithal, the drive, the capacity, the resilience to make the kind of changes that are necessary to fix some of those other items: timing, target, solution, the theory itself. So how might you improve your odds through this process of rehearsal? I have 2 exercises I'm going to suggest to you. One is what Mark and I call the crown jewels exercise. Now, we know you can't rehearse for every potential contingency. Nobody has the time or the resources to do that. But we do think that when it is about something that represent the true core of your entire venture, might be a location, might be a person, might be a permit, might be a reputation, might be a relationship with a particular customer or a supplier. Whatever those crown jewels are of your venture, those are the things that are probably worth rehearsing how you might protect if things were to turn badly. Now, crown jewels are going to vary, but every company has 1 or 2 or 3 things that they would hate to lose. If you're lucky, those are also the things that your competitor would love to have. But your job is to protect them. Your job is to think about what might destroy at least those portions of what you're trying to do in the marketplace, and rehearse how you might minimize the likelihood of that happening or minimize the impact if a failure were to happen to jeopardize one of those crown jewels. So take some time and think about that. What are the 2 or 3 things that you could not afford to lose that make up the essence of your business? And by the way, don't forget your own health and well-being in the process. The second exercise is one that we call the UNgolden rule. Now, you all know what the golden rule is. My dad was a minister, so I remember a lot of that stuff from my growing up in Indiana. But the ungolden rule is a little different. The ungolden rule is do unto yourself before others can do unto you. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. You know where your business is likely most vulnerable to a competitor. Think about it. Where are you weakest? That is like the flip side of the crown jewels that I talked about earlier. That's the place where you might want to begin to fix what's most vulnerable in your business right now before a competitor can fix it for their benefit and for your customers, because that's what competitors are looking for: vulnerabilities, weaknesses. Take advantage of your own knowledge of your own weaknesses and follow the ungolden rule to minimize the likelihood of unnecessary failure that may just put you out of business. Nothing worse than sitting on the sidelines to see some other competitor do what you could have done and should have done had you taken the time to fix the very things you were aware of as vulnerabilities of your business. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about this one, take a look in chapter 11 of our book. We've got other suggestions and examples. But until next time, Mark and I say good luck, and we'll see you in the next installment.